and I promise I had to cancel. And you are loud AF.
You're welcome.
Before the meeting is what he just said?
Yeah.
You could just.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Oh, good.
It's because Steve probably heard you. Steve keeps us muted until a little bit before the meeting.
Oh,
but
thank
it's-
goodness.
Okay.
No need to hear this riffraff.
All right, it is 7. So I am going to call us to order at 7 p.m. And before we get started, I would just like to acknowledge the loss of one of our younger learners from last week, Brayla. Very tragic accident. And I just want to say on behalf of the board and the district, we want her family to know that we're holding them in our hearts during this time, and that we send our deepest sympathies. Our community is really grieving right now, and the district has sent communications about support that we're offering to students, staff, families, and we'll continue to offer that support as long as needed. So if there are people who feel like they need additional support and don't have that information, please feel free to reach out to myself or Aaron for that, and we can make sure that you get it. So,
Thanks
Yeah.
for doing that.
yeah, it's sad, and it's
Yeah.
not great to start a meeting that way, but that is what is happening in our community, so. All right, and there's not really an easy way to move on from that, so let's go into the consent agenda. That includes minutes from our June 15th meeting, our June 29th special school board meeting, general fund vouchers and purchasing card transactions, certified and co-curricular staffing recommendations as listed on our agenda. I would look for a motion.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, just write that down. Is there anything anyone wants to pull out and talk about in there? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I,
Thank you, Meredith. Motion carries 5-0. And as always, there are personnel items that do not require a vote. And next comes public comments. Do we have any registered? We do not. Okay, we do not. Then we are on to our informational items. First up is our legislative and legal updates regarding public education funding and teacher leadership. Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me. These are from quite a while ago. They were from May 26th and May 27th that I saw these Zoom meetings. But I'm going to take them slightly out of order. I'll take the one in May 27th. That was by the Wisconsin Public Education Network. And I think like this is the third different either webinar or been in person. And I'm just so impressed with this group because I do think they are really advocates for public education. And of course, in the McFarland minutes, Aaron, you included the thing about the lawsuit. And this is what that was all about. They were kind of giving the background to it all. And I was just like amazed at it. And then having read about what was in the McFarland minutes and the actual details and then putting this all together, it's really quite interesting. Yeah, just the background is just Adam Friendship, Beloit, Claire, Green Bay, and Nacita they have basically filed a lawsuit against our legislature they're effectively, they're basically, the defendants are going to be the Assembly, the Senate, members of the Joint Finance Committee, and I think each individually. And their whole argument is the fact that the state has not been fulfilling its constitutional obligation to guaranteeing public education for all of its students, or at least not doing it in a way that is equal for everyone. And so they looked at that, and again, I'll be pulling off from the other reading from that Supreme Court ruling in 2000, a 4-3 decision, was the state meeting its obligation. It was, again, approved in 2000, but it looks like basically what it says in, I guess, what is it, Article 10 of our Constitution, public education is just guaranteed to all state constitution and to everyone by our state constitution. And it includes, it can include private or religious schools, because it basically says schools established have to be nearly as uniform as possible. And so then it just talks about the fact that you have the obligation. It was ruled in 2000 that the people who are, because of poverty, because of a second language, or because of the fact that they have special needs, they have to be included, they have to have opportunities to have that same equal opportunity for education. And I thought the most telling thing on that meeting of the May 27th was historically Wisconsin, our state, provided $2. The state provided $2 for every $1 funded by the property tax, the local taxes. I thought that was amazing. And then starting in 2010, it has dropped. And the average now is $1.15. So what was $2 of state, it's now $1.15 for every $1 local. Oh, wow. And the one that just really blew my mind, and this is the thing I've been screaming about forever, it seems, in rural areas of the state of Wisconsin, it is now, the state is funding 86 cents for every dollar. Mm-hmm. And it's probably because of, I would think, transportation cost and all those things. But in any event, I mean, we're being just hammered. And so, kind of interesting. Interestingly, in the 1980s, special education was funded about 80% by the state, and now it's around 30%. And it all began in 2008 during that terrible recession, what was it, the dot-com? Was that the recession? I'm trying to remember which one it was, 2008.
The housing.
Was it housing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bubble. Anyway, it turns out it was thought it would be like a 1 or 2 years, and then you'd be able to kind of get back to that 2 to 1, and they never did. And so now you're kind of into it. Interestingly, the lawsuit is also, a group has joined the defendants, and that's a group who support voucher schools, the proponents, and I think they can see the writing on the wall. This lawsuit says nothing about private or the voucher program at all, but I think they're seeing that if you follow that part of the Constitution, that Article 10, and that the schools established shall be as nearly uniform as possible, it's pretty obvious that's going to be coming. And so it's going to be interesting because the change of the Supreme Court. So really fascinating. This is an amazing group of people who are working on this thing. And again, that 12-page document you sent I thought was absolutely fascinating. One of the things, I mean, beyond everything else, just the fact, and those of us on the school board, it just drives you crazy that an example of how different it is. The playing field is so different. The private voucher schools versus public schools, the special ed for the private and voucher schools is some sufficient. For those of us in public schools, it's some certain. And it just, in other words, we're not getting the same thing. So it's kind of apples and oranges, and it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. The other one, which was the day previous, on May 26th, was actually by the National School Board Association, and they call it a policy hour. And it was entitled Teachers Are Leaders Act, and it's a federal bill that has been defeated, but it was sponsored by Brad Schneider, a Democrat from Illinois. And it was focused on improving teacher retention, because we got a shortage of teachers, and it's nationwide. And it was response to the current administration is trying, I don't know if they have actually done it, but they were planning on reclassifying teachers as non-professionals. So the three main objectives were, the objectives they're trying to overcome are, there's too many teachers moving into administration or leaving the profession altogether. And to be honest with you, I'm going to mention, when I was teaching before I became a school board member, it was always upsetting to me to see really good classroom teachers move into administrative positions. And I will say that the people who have done that, many of them turn out to be very fine administrators, but it was a shame to lose such good teachers, classroom teachers. And then they want to try to find ways to give teachers more time, ensure that, and that's going to be difficult to do because different teachers have different needs for that. But I will tell you, when I ran for office for this school board, that was the issue that I talked about more than anything. There just isn't enough time in the day if you're really going to be good about grading, contacting parents, planning lessons. There really isn't the time. And I'll go off on an aside. It's ridiculous, but some of you have heard this maybe. But either my last year or the next to last year I was teaching, I had a student, I had to talk to him. It was probably just about, you got to get some work in or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly what it was. But I went through my lunch period. I was about 10 minutes late to the lunch period. And as a teacher, you don't get a great deal of lunch. And the alternative is then you sit at your desk and you eat by yourself, which to me is not really healthy. But I ran down there and was wolfing down my food, choked on a piece of chicken, was choking to death, and one of the science teachers did the Heimlich procedure on me. I was able to get the chicken out, was able to finish my lunch, and I still got back to my class in time for the next class. But I was just like, I don't think people realize how it's just like under the gun you are. You can't leave those kids, unattended, and it's a difficult time. So that's one of the goals. And the other one is just basically just trying to find ways to increase funding for salaries. They call this treat teachers with respect. The point was that they found from tests the quality of classroom teachers is the single greatest determinant in raising student achievement. And then interestingly, and I think this very much applies to McFarland, it turns out, interestingly, studies show that increasing student achievement leads to rising property values. And McFarland, so many people have moved to this community because of our schools. In fact, when I first retired, I went on the village plan commission, and they were trying to find out ways to, try to brand McFarland. And in the end, we kept on coming up with, well, it's really the schools. And one of the things I'm most proud of right now, what's happened with the school board, is I think we are working as a district and the village, and they're willing to kind of say, yeah, we are kind of all in this together. Where there was kind of like a denial on it. No, it's the wetlands, or it's whatever it was. They didn't want to talk about it. But it is really true. It's that classroom teacher that makes such a big difference. So anyway, what they're trying to do, they're trying to get, and this is their recommendation, and I was really excited about this. They think it's important to get former teachers to get on the school board.
Check.
Yeah. They said, we were going to try to focus on wisdom, which requires longevity. And I remember talking about this. It takes years. Teaching is a craft. It's not something you like, okay, I got it in school. In fact, many of the things I felt like I was taught in school, and I had a really good education department at Syracuse, but the truth of the matter is, most of it you just have to kind of learn on your own. Now, that also makes me feel really proud of McFarland because we have this incredibly kind of aggressive almost mentoring system with former teachers, that's the wisdom you're looking for. And then find ways to give teachers more autonomy. Of course, that's a balance. How do you do that? And then lastly, get teachers involved with establishing strategic plans. And I think that's one thing that we didn't do in our last strategic plan. I don't think we
did.
Well, we had some. But I think it's something that I think we could actively try to do. And I think it's a great way for teachers and the community members, the parents, to get together and collaborate and work together. So that was what they talked about. So these are really interesting. They're kind of dated, but in some ways, the one particularly about the lawsuit is quite relevant considering what we just read. You could, and this was, I'm sorry, I called Angie today. There is a website, they're trying to make this is now the Wisconsin Public Education Network. This is the first one about that, the lawsuit. They are trying to put together a, what do they call it? A toolkit. And they're trying to set it up so that the people in the communities and school districts can actually find out how much of their money is going to pay for that $1.8 billion in the voucher program. And I know that they said at the time, Monona Grove has it, Green Bay has already established this, but it would be kind of nice for McFarland to have it, so people can say, oh, what is that going there? I'm assuming, Jeff, you probably would be able to know that or figure that out. You probably have, I think.
We've talked about it with the village
Yeah.
a little bit and,
Yeah.
and at the Dane County Consortium. And it's, we really have to do it on a county level because most of the municipalities around here use the same tax template. So it becomes costly. So
Okay.
that's part of the advocacy goals, I think, of that group. But we are going to put in like a flyer
An
with the
insert.
tax bills
It's
that helps
really
with that.
good.
But yeah.
Yeah, and so there's a QR code there, which isn't going to be probably very helpful. But if you just go to the Wisconsin Public Education Network, you can look this up and work on this project toolkit to get the transparency. And I think it's why that group was kind of joined the defendants, they're trying to get this court case, this lawsuit dismissed. And I don't think they're going to be successful, personally.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay. Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it. All right. Next, we have Chapman with the legislative update.
I have a really exciting one.
Is it like last time?
Yes, there is no legislative update,
Okay.
but thank you so much for
Nothing
your
new.
attention to this matter.
Yes. I mean, Bruce's was a little bit like that.
Yes.
A little bit. So.
was it long?
No, a little bit.
No.
A little, like
It was
a
a
legislative
little
update.
update.
No, she was saying that, yeah, you did the legislative
Yeah.
update.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's not an official one, but
I
yours
don't know,
kind of ties in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So, all right. Great. All right. Now we have our CISA 2 delegate convention update from Meredith Huey joining us virtually.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to still join, albeit virtually. I will try and be brief, maybe not as brief as Jutman, but at least kind of throw it out there. So I had the opportunity to attend the CISA 2 2026 delegate convention back in the middle of June. I think it was the 16th in Whitewater. And as a reminder, our relationship as a district with CISA 2, and there are 12 different CISAs, provides tailored services to 72 different school districts in several different counties. And so those 12 CISAs are kind of throughout the state, and we have 72 districts within just our CISA group. Our involvement with them ensures shared costs across our districts for things like curriculum, professional development, special education needs and resources, and then also acts as and can connect us to different experts and programs, as well as an advocate at the state level. So another good example of our involvement with CISA 2 is us also being fiscally responsible to ensure that we're working with other districts to reduce costs when we have special needs that we're looking for. I had the great opportunity to listen to a presentation by WASBO's research director, Ann Chapman. And if you've not had the opportunity to ever listen to a presentation by her or meet her, try to. She has a wealth of information on the state of school finance, and I felt very honored just to be in the room with her. And there were a couple of themes from her presentation, and it really kind of actually piggybacks very well off of your your sharing, Bruce, as well. So I feel like there were a couple, maybe few themes from a presentation that I wanted to share. It's not new news to any of us or those of us who are watching this recording who are really engaged. But it's no surprise that school funding is incredibly complex, and that it can get very wordy and bogged down in numbers. So I guess I just want to let the community know that don't let that scare you. There are no silly questions, rather. And all of us would be happy to answer your questions if you have them. Because sometimes, like, you hear these big statements and you're not quite sure what that means or how to follow up. Ask us. We're happy to help share information with what we know. And if we don't know, finding the resource that lets you do know. But essentially, the state education funding system is just broken. And I apologize, there will be background noise. Children are home. It's just part of the process. The primary source of funding crisis for our school districts is bar none state school finance policy. It's not, part of it may be declining enrollment, but not by itself. So when you see like declining enrollment is causing this, it's a part and it is not an entirety. So be cognizant as you hear those things, and not just believing them. And I thought one fact that she shared was that the class of 2027, so next year's graduating senior class, will be the fifth class of seniors to graduate without any inflationary increase in the revenue limits. I think that is, one, students are amazing and resilient. Two, districts are doing the most that they can, but just it's dismal. It's very upsetting that we don't have a state for fifth class of seniors to ever go through their K through 12 education without any increase in funding for their education. So I thought that little ditty was interesting. And then one last little thing was regarding special education and its shortfall in funding, and the rising of student needs. So one of the statistics that she shared was last school year, there were approximately, I think, 70,000 students in independent school voucher programs who received 85 million more dollars in primary special education aid than the public school system, who had almost double the amount of students needing those services. And the amount of students needing those services is only growing. So I just thought that was a really striking statistic, that we are in need and more is going to less students. And who's paying that price? Well, it's us in the districts, you as taxpayers, and then our kids. It's it's frustrating, and disappointing, but I think there's things like what Bruce mentioned, different legislative actions that may be taking place. And I did have the opportunity to learn that our incredible state boards of support for school districts and administrators, and school boards all are working with like new legislators to teach them and educate them about school finance, because like we've talked about, it's really complex. And so it's maybe something on all of their huge agendas that they're not going to spend much time on. So state organizations are spending time on educating our legislators on what it means when we say school finance and what the ramifications are. So anyway, I could blather on a little bit longer, but I'll leave it at that. But thank you, team, for the opportunity to be able to go and participate. And it was a great chance to hear Ann speak in person. So there you have it. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's interesting that these are things that you all have attended, hosted by very different organizations, and they're all talking about school funding.
Yeah.
I just would add that they were talking about the number in this lawsuit that we read, the number of schools, districts that have had failed referendums, I guess. And it turns out that 3 of them are thinking of basically giving up the ghost. Yeah, dissolving or consolidating. And you just ask yourself, what will happen to those communities without their public schools? It's frightening to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not good. I'm grateful to be in the position that we are, even though it's not great.
No.
much better than a lot of other
Yeah,
districts.
we are very lucky.
Due to our great financial management systems here. All right, anything else on that? Okay, then we've got our crime statistics report. Give us a little preamble.
Yes, so in 2023, Act 12 created an annual requirement for school districts to report both to the school board, their local school boards, and to the state, any like certain types of crimes that occur both in terms of local ordinance violations and state law, and specifically that these things occur on high school property. They don't, public high school property. They don't state that they are committed by students or staff, just anything that happens on the property. So, for example, if there was a sporting event and an adult received, a spectator received a citation, that would also be included here in these
Interesting.
statistics. And this is our second time reporting on this, that there's no action for the board to take. It's just for informational purposes. Because it is our second time, I did include in the materials provided just a comparison to last year. One thing I would note is that there overall was a reduction in the number of incidents from 11 in the previous year in 2024 and 25 to 5 incidents this past year. And keeping in mind that the biggest reduction was in the area of disorderly conduct violations from 5 to 1. I just thought that was an interesting thing. I don't know what to attribute that to. It wasn't an intentional thing, but an interesting thing to note.
Yeah, hard to figure out, especially when it's involving not just students or staff committing the crimes. Like, very hard to figure out if the trends mean anything, right? It's
The frequency of this report is just annually?
Annually, correct.
And do all schools have to do this? Is this again
All
one of these-
public high schools.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all public high schools. That's a coincidence.
Yes, all public high schools do so at this time. One of the challenges with this law is that it's only information that we're aware of.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
The-
how could it be?
True.
The authorities aren't required to report these things
That's
to
true.
us. So thankfully, we're able to work closely with our local police department and identify the things.
So interesting. All right, thank you. Any other discussion or questions about that? Okay. Then next, we have, we have our district administrator's report. Sometimes we switch it up and have guests go before that.
We can do that.
Do we want to do that?
The look on your face is priceless.
Fine with that.
It would be Jeff.
That would be, that's
what-
fine.
You want to come on up?
Go ahead.
All right, then you can leave sooner. Thought that was the benefit.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Right?
Nice,
thoughtful.
very nice.
Aaron has to stay here either way. Yeah, you're the guest.
Are we gonna,
So we're gonna do the business manager's report.
okay, but then we'll bounce back to roofing?
Yeah, I'll do that at the start of my report.
Okay.
How's that? Or
You guys got
you
this
could bring it
really-
up, you could bring it up as well if you
And then
want.
you'll
I
bring,
didn't mean to
okay,
confuse
it
things.
was well coordinated.
Yes,
Sorry, didn't mean to confuse things.
Nope, not at all.
that's great.
Surprise parties. Love them.
That's right.
All right, Angie's gonna pull up a document that, so about 15 slides, so we'll cover through this. First of all, thank you to the board members, all three of you, I think had legislative updates. And a lot of good information from my statewide association, WASBO, which is really trying to advocate clearly how difficult school finance has been for decades. So anyways, we're going to take a quick look at 25-26 and 26-27. So our fiscal year ended 13 days ago, or for us in the office, about 7 working days. So this is a lot of quick information, but positive information. First of all, our interest earnings, again, these would be revenues I'd call are very variable because it's all due to the market and the fact that we are doing well, but interest earnings are also pretty good. So we're about 290,000 to the plus as we just got done with this fiscal year for interest earnings. WEVA came in at this point $280,000 more to the good than as budgeted. And then special ed funding we knew was going to be up, and that was about 425,000. So our revenues are positive. The rest of the revenues throughout our whole budget are really just very tight to what our estimates are at the beginning of each year. Expenses, we were within, for both funds 10 and 27, of which our compensation and benefits is about 31 million. We're within 3% of budget to the good. As I shared earlier with Aaron today, when we talk about like benefits, someone would say, well, how could you be off $262,000 in benefits to the good? Well, we did have a huge shift with GHC from Dean, and we had many staff that didn't choose to stay with us. So, you know, each family is almost 30,000 right there. So you can have some big shifts there. But Fund 27, you know, benefit level, you can tell we were pretty spot on with our staffing that are in special education that probably took health insurance. So that would have been where our big swing was. Also included in benefits under Fund 10 is our retiree benefits. And we have a benefit level in there that accounts for about 7 retirees annually for the benefits that go to them, of which we didn't use all of that in 25, 26. So that, again, ebbs and flows. Further, you'll have a action item tonight on the designated funds. This is an annual event, and I have another slide on that. But we are also in that fun season of audit. So some of these numbers will change. Like, for instance, we were journal entering back all of our Alliant and MG&E electrical and gas bills today back to 25, 26. So our balances for public record will change between now and when the audit is complete and sent to you guys in December. So it takes a while, but we are to the good. We are building fund balance, which will help us when we get to the 27, 28 fiscal year, if for some reason our legislature doesn't really pick up the ball and make things better by then. So $1.1 million in designated funds. Next slide, Angie, if it didn't. What does that mean? So annually we have budgets that sometimes are over, sometimes are under. And, you know, you hear about the past a long time ago where people would try to make a mad dash to spend down their budget in April, May, June. Well, these are funds that are supposed to be spent on this year's students, so we shouldn't be necessarily always just diving to find out what we could do. So in my business practice and a number of other school districts many years ago, we moved to just designated funds. We've had buildings that have done well for certain reasons in certain areas, and so we carry over funds for them for 1 year. For example, what do our buildings then use those funds for? They are typically being used to replace furniture that is outdated or is no longer repairable, special situations, items that might be needed, things that aren't related to boilers, roofs, parking lots. So things that our principals can work on to do. We have a threshold of about 15,000 that if we're gonna carry it over, that they would use, and we would carry over. Other large items on there is our CTE funds, and that is carrying over about 236,000.
What does that stand for again? CTE?
Our technical education
Okay,
portion of our
got it.
high
Thank you.
school.
Yep.
And those are funds that have been accumulating over the last decade or more. And they get used, again, for special situations and that, so, and divided out into the different, like, whether it's the accounting department, the tech ed department. So, capital plans, within our Fund 10, we do have a capital plan. And we did not use all of the money that was in there for roofing in 25-26, so we are designating and carrying that over to 26-27. Jewel settlement, we were involved in that several years ago. And that has been helping us buy recreation equipment, like the 9 Square in the Air at the middle school, and some items over at Wabisa over the years. So we'll continue to use that for recreation-like activities.
Okay.
The mental health grants, transition grants. This one is kind of a unique one that we've not done before, but Department of Teaching and Learning is planning a big overhaul of a curriculum, ELA, in 27-28, of which we met early in this year, and that budget has some flexibility of not making expenditures this year or a lot of expenditures next year. So our district administration is dedicated to designating funds that then can be used when we hit a large purchase that will be well over a couple $100,000 for a new ELA curriculum. So again, trying to plan ahead and use the resources we have, so we're not shocking people and saying, oh, we don't have the money, but could you fund it anyways? So not really our goal around here. So that's an action item you'll have. I noted that WEVA was, had more money this year, and what I thought I would do is I present this every once in a while, but we are completing our 17th year with WEVA, of which $16.4 million have come from other taxing jurisdictions outside of our school district and has come to our school district as a net to the district. So if you kind of think, $1 million on average a year has helped us operate
Yeah.
as a school district without having to go further to our taxpayers. So,
Yeah, it's an important partnership for our schools.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
So 25-26 was a nice positive year. When you talk about financial balances. 26-27, we're in the midst of that. So as I always kind of talk, it always feels like we're in 3 fiscal years, last year, this year, and pretty soon we'll start 27-28 thinking. So, you know, the big things will be our continued expense review of 25-26. We pick apart different budgets, see where we were off, see if we had some mistakes, where things were coded to, like it's a moving animal there to make sure we're doing things right. Equalization aid, you saw that there was an article in the Thistle, and we're gonna cover a little bit more about equalization aid. And then, you know, we continue to have interviews. We have 2 positions that are being interviewed at the middle school, 1 tomorrow and 1 on Wednesday. And some of the special ed positions that have been taking a while have, as of today, the high school had 1 get filled. So again, that's going great.
Great.
Awesome.
So to my soapbox, just a reminder, equalized aid is important to the revenue cap. Revenue cap minus aid equals tax. I would love to, and sometimes I do put the formula up there, the aid formula and the revenue cap formula really looks scary, but if we had to simplify it, it's the revenue cap minus aid equals tax. DPI is required statutorily, whether they like it or not, to provide an estimate on July 1. Wow, that's intense when all of us are just completing our fiscal years, and a good portion of aid estimate, or aid, is based on previous year, 25-26 expenditures. and number of students and value within those taxing jurisdictions. Those are the three major ones for aid estimates. So this isn't finalized until October 15th by the state. So we got a 3.5 month gap where we decide, do we stick with the estimates that I sometimes use in February or the July 1 estimate? And we're gonna kind of see a graphic on that kind of shows what's been occurring. But I had estimated 14.6 million for this coming 26-27 year. Great news, DPI is coming out with a better one. We won't know until October 15th. But I thought, you know, it'd be kind of good for us to see that last year's aid estimate was 150,000 less than the final. Because there are school districts out there that are very large and sometimes don't get all of their data in on a timely basis or accurately. That can make a big swing for everybody across the state, either negative or positively, so.
Sure.
So if we went to, next slide is what I had shown over the last couple presentations in February and I think April, but we can go to the next one, Angie. All right, so if we look at the orangish yellow, 24-25, the July 1 aid estimate was 15.6 million. The actual was 15.4 million. So if we had constantly just went with DPIs in 24-25, and I'm not knocking them, they're statutorily required to use data that they have, which is barely a good snapshot.
Right.
And then last year, again, we were 153,000. So, you know, we're talking about a $190,000 average the last 2 years where for McFarland, it's been less than the final than the July 1 estimate. So I haven't changed in my models that we now have this windfall of another $31,000 more than state aid this year than last year. I'd like to remain cautious as we're developing our annual meeting, but we will know in October.
Okay. That's interesting to see this information laid out like that.
You know, our budget for 26-27, if you can't barely read that final little number, but to the bottom right, we're showing a balanced budget in 26-27 of $37,561. So that's for Fund 10. And then if we went to Fund 27, the expenditures will meet the revenues because we have to transfer whatever doesn't come from the state from Fund 10. So we'll be operating about a $9.3 million budget in special education this coming year.
Okay.
And, yes, all right, you're already there, Angie, you're purposefully doing a great job here to move me along. You know, I just wanted to reiterate that when people look at our budgets, these are slides I've brought up a few times this last year. Again, you know, 80+% of our budget is salaries, benefits, and services that go to people. Transportation, substitutes. So there's very little movement for our budget other than where our salaries, where our benefits, and then the supporting services of our transportation and substitutes.
Yep.
The next slide just provides a little bit more detail. 73% is for wage, health, about 15%, and then the other payroll benefits, like WRS, stuff like that, so. And our revenue, we've talked about it a couple times, but state aid and taxes, that's driving the budget. We are fortunate again to have almost 10% of our budget is occupied by WEVA. And then we do receive for special education about 10% for federal aid and state aid. of our revenue. And it's nice that we can even put the little pie of interest up there.
Yep. Yeah.
That's not
great.
normal,
Nope.
but it's been great the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
annual meeting posting in September, so we'll have that action item. And then October 26th is the annual meeting. And then we always begin to talk about past 26, 27 very soon in November.
Okay.
So we are a year-round TV show.
Yes, you are.
Past, present, and future. Okay.
Questions? Thoughts?
Appreciate,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna ask you if you have any concerns.
Right. I think we covered those.
Yeah.
No, appreciate your good management on all things fiscal.
Takes a whole team in this district.
Right. Yep. So,
Yes, sir, we
yeah, thank you.
I thought I might just comment about, you know, the idea of, I think some people in the public, again, not understanding that declining enrollment, you know, why then can't we have less spending? But if you're losing, let's say, 3 or 4 kids in every grade, you're not gonna suddenly be dropping these classes. Class sizes might get slightly smaller in some, but you still have to offer those same classes. And I don't think the public understands that. It's just like, oh, we just won't have US history this year because, you know, declining enrollment, or we won't be offering algebra. You know, they're gonna be there and they need to be there. And it's just, I think the public needs to realize it's, expenses are kind of built in almost.
Well, Bruce, you bring up a great point. I mean, and our district has ebbed and flowed at the particularly K-6 level, with sometimes only having as few as 6 sections versus 8 or 9.
Right.
Or even 10 sections like we once did. But you are correct. When you get to 7th grade up through the high school, and we haven't had a major bubble yet, but if our enrollment trends do go, that will be
Yeah.
down the line, 5, 7, 10 years from now, will be interesting discussions
Yeah.
for how high schools across the state will operate.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Anything else for Jeff? Okay. Sounds like you're sticking around for the first part of Aaron's district administrator's report. Is that what I
mean,
heard?
Roofing's one of the most exciting things to talk about.
Well, I was just, it's important to acknowledge some of the things going on
Yeah.
in the summer. There's so many things. But roofing is one of them. As you drive by this building, you'll see it's very active. So I have a few pictures to share, and then Jeff will help us provide a little bit of an overview of kind of some of the things going on. So you can see these areas that are kind of cleared off. You can see, some of I could not be a roofer for a variety of reasons,
Nope.
but being on that ledge is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it impacts, where people can come and go. This one just is a good reminder. Our high school's not brand new. I don't know, it just made our high school look extra special, vintage. You can just see, just to give you a sense of some of the work that they're doing, some of the things that they need to work around to complete their work, which is pretty significant. And then I did want to share, and this is where Jeff will share a little bit more, just about where we are at in the project. So let me get down to.
There you go.
It's a lot of different roofs.
And we're not gonna have, that is the top of your high school.
Yeah.
There are 29 elevation sections to this building.
29 elevation sections.
That's bonkers.
So that makes it very interesting to do roofing. We completed the bulk of the work in the green area, which are the gymnasiums and the old pool and the locker rooms. We completed that last summer, about $1.3 million of space. This year, we are completing areas 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 23, and 29. A lot of that's just based on the engineering's noting what the access areas are gonna be so that the project can be the most efficient. So the areas that are not in green or blue, and nothing kind of the south of the green there, the rest of the areas that really don't have good color there, those are still to come. And these sections date back to the 70s in some
wow.
areas. So this is a necessary project.
Okay.
It was estimated when we started working with Performance Services Incorporated. This is about overall a $6 million project that we're trying to work again through our annual $249,000 worth of capital plan money that's part of the revenue cap. And then also that small chunk of money that is in Fund 10 that helps us. So this year, we're doing just over $800,000 worth of work. So we get this completed and we will have all of our roofs throughout the whole district in really good shape for a good amount of time, so.
Awesome.
How long do you, I know it's different for different roofs, but how long do you typically expect them to last?
Well, I mean, we've had them since the 70s. The
70s.
technology
Yeah.
is better. Wabisa is a great reference point to back in 2000 when they started to put EPDM roofs on rubber roofs and not putting ballast on them.
Oh, yeah.
And we just came back through 3 summers ago and had a silicone spray coat go over it, which is extending its viability with a full warranty for another 15 years.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
all of these roofs that are being done right now are also EPDM. So let's say they meet their life, which should at least be 25 plus years. Then if the technology is still there or gets better, then you get into spray coating. One of the big advantages of that and what we really like to champion with Wabisa and even this one is if you get to these before your insulation gets bad, you can add another layer of insulation over to make it better, but you're not putting that stuff in landfills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you're not
that's
having
nice.
that extra cost,
Mhm.
which can be significant for tear off and landfill costs. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point.
we're going after this one aggressively. Hopefully for next summer, we will try to really knock out a lot more parts and come to the board probably in November, December to maybe designate a little bit more funding to try to take out a couple more chunks.
Cool.
Got it. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ben Snyder, Buildings Grounds Director, has been doing an amazing job, and he's on vacation this week, so.
Good for him.
All right. Anything else about that, about the roof part? No? Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeff.
You're
Thank you.
dismissed.
Thanks for letting me be a guest.
You are welcome.
Anytime.
A frequent guest. Some things going around, a little shout out. You can see, we're reflecting on the end of the year. This was right at the end. Students at K2 were designing and creating burger and hot dog flipping devices. So some creative problem solving and collaboration and critical thinking there. It's kind of a fun way to end the year. Another fun way at Wabisa, they had, for turning in their books, they were able to throw some pies in the face of a few people, including Mr. Chef Check. You can see there.
excited.
So that was fun, and there was a 1 mile run, and just some really nice times. They have the tradition there of clapping out the 5th graders. So it's kind of a fun event there. Good way to end the year. And speaking of ending the year, some people are ending their career. So this is just the middle school, and a little recognition and a great reason to have a cake for these 6 outstanding people who are ending their career here in the district. So congrats to
That's so
them.
sweet.
Yeah. Here you can see the Multicultural Club. I thought this was really a neat way to recognize some transitions. You have graduating seniors and exchange student from the Multicultural Club. So I've done so much to make our school and district a better place, and just really appreciate them. Very nice picture, very thoughtful thing to do. They will be missed. Here you can see Chan was the Optimist Senior of the Month. Such a great thing. He is just such an amazing human I've gotten to know since his middle school days. And, you know, he has special permission to call me Mr. Tartar Sauce. So he's just a really, really nice, kind kid that
You know,
will be.
you might need to give the board permission to call you that from now on.
Yeah. Well, you're my boss.
Oh, that's
so
true.
Whatever you call me, I will accept.
We s-
But,
Mr. Tartar
well, this is-
no.
Sauce.
You might regret telling us that.
Yeah, and of course, we had the recognition celebration, so here you can see the official formal retirees there on your left, as well as all of the recipients of various awards on your right, and the Blue Notes closed us out, as they always do, and some people might have shed a tear.
It's true.
That was me. But it was a very special moment, and it's just wonderful to have the whole district there recognizing our outstanding staff.
It's a great way to end the year.
I know.
Our district has a lot of really cool sort of transition celebrations.
That's true.
So at each level, whether it's the retirees or
Yes.
the eighth graders, or even at our elementary schools, there's some sort of recognition
There is.
that's
Yeah.
worth having.
That's a good
That's
point,
true. Yep.
right? Because you had the parade, the second grade parade, and
Fifth grade, you said?
and the fifth grade, yeah.
Yeah.
Also. So those are some of the things going around in the district. Want to give some special recognitions, and President Fessler mentioned about the loss of Brayla, and wanted to give just some recognition of what goes on behind the scenes that I think is really important. And the crisis team responding so quickly. First of all, Director of Student Services, Lauren Arango, is just an outstanding leader when it comes to these events. And she just organizes the group, makes sure we know what we need to do, what we need to communicate. And we met the next morning as a team, whoever was able to come. And I'll tell you, people, it's summer, but they were there doing some problem solving, what staff and students need the most support, what levels of support can we provide in short order, what do we need to communicate to our staff and our families, what do we know. Fortunate to have Officer Jake Towns was part of that, safety coordinator. Mike Clements is also part of that. So there's a lot that goes into that, a lot of thoughtfulness. These are difficult situations, and you anticipate you come in with a plan, but you have to be flexible and add things as they develop. And I wanted to give also recognition to our staff, our K-5 staff. We had a meeting with them on Friday, and just to process what had happened. Having, these are the teachers that have the three kids in that family. And then this morning, met with summer school staff to just talk about and how to support our kids and make sure they have the support they need. Our student services staff is just tremendous, being there for the kids and families, answering questions. They have talked with families and students separately during separately scheduled conversations and meetings, and then they had some scheduled times this afternoon to connect with some students as well. And they are available, so encourage, people to reach out. We've also made sure to encourage staff to contact our employee assistance program as another resource. to talk about, as they try to cope the best they can with this tragedy. So I also wanted to recognize, without naming names, the other districts that have reached out to offer support. Appreciate that. The Office of School Safety contacted us and offered resources as well. So just really feel supported and able to do what we can to transition that support to our community as they try to do their best to heal.
Wow, that's really kind about the other districts.
Yeah,
School
very
safety.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
In terms of upcoming events, July is Disability Pride Month, so that's an important thing to recognize. It's also, this is our last week of summer school, so we have Camp Kindergarten coming up, but Thursday will be our last day of summer school, and it's gone amazingly well. We have we were to have the school and village board joint planning meeting tomorrow. That has been canceled just for, to be honest, just a light agenda at this time of year. So just respecting everybody's time. And Camp Kindergarten starts on July 20th.
Yeah.
So that will be very exciting. And then we're back here on August 3rd.
That's right, we are.
I was going to look up on my phone, I don't know what it's called, but on Friday night, there's going to be a special invitational mile that's going to be run up on our track. A former student of
I kind of
ours.
heard about that kind
Yeah,
of through the
Brant
grapevine.
Baroncott, who's now running this.
Oh, it is? That's
Yeah,
who it is?
he's running this timing system. It's actually one of the biggest now in the state. And they're going to have different age groups, and obviously both male, female runners, and they're running a mile. He's trying to, I guess there's a big one outside Milwaukee, and he's determined to make McFarland the center of this.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
going to be on
Alright.
Friday.
Okay,
I don't know exactly the time, but I would assume like around 6 o'clock we'll begin.
okay. Is that, so it sounds like it's not school-sponsored, but like community
Yeah,
sponsored?
yeah, no,
Community event?
yeah, because it's, yeah. I know the coaches are involved, and they're gonna roll me out the wave. And then,
Yeah, I
Okay,
think,
cool.
yeah, it's like connected. I don't know the official relationship with the
Yeah.
district, but
But community use of.
It is a
the
community
track,
Yeah.
Right,
yes.
cool.
yes.
That's fun. All right, well, you have to report back to us on August 3rd. how it
Yeah,
goes.
see how you do.
I won't do. It won't be me.
Any other
Awesome.
recognitions board members would like to share?
I very much enjoyed Bands by the Boardwalk.
Oh, great.
That's good, yep.
Happy we have such beautiful scenery just here.
How were the
That's true.
mosquitoes?
I had on long sleeves and pants.
There we go.
I was all right.
All right.
The kids and I were there until about 7:30.
Yeah.
And they hadn't come out yet, like we didn't notice, so. I'm like, oh, okay,
They must all be at my house.
probably.
No.
Yeah, that's a great, I think what I enjoy about Bands by the Boardwalk, like it's a chamber event, but there's local business involved. And then there's also school, like clubs or like student-led clubs that are
fundraisers.
there. And that, it wasn't that way the first couple of times, and now they've, made partnerships and connections, and it's another great way that our community comes together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our chamber
It's
does a
also
great
free
job.
to attend, so sometimes it's nice to just have things you can enjoy without the assumption of a cost.
Yeah,
Well
I
said.
think-
Really
Yep.
enjoy that.
yep, exactly. And a lot of people were there, right? It was, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. All right, let's move into our action items then. The first one we have is on our notice of academic standards for the 26-27 school year.
Yes, so this is something we do annually at this time of the year, and that is something that's required by statute, and the district has adopted the Wisconsin academic standards. Those are the one prescribed by the Department of Public Instruction, and just ask that you approve that tonight.
I move to adopt the Wisconsin academic standards for the 2026-2027 school year.
I will second.
All right. You're so fast, I couldn't get to my.
They got you
here.
covered.
I got it.
Any further discussion or questions about that? All All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Next one we have is action on designation of fund balances for the 26-27 school year, which is the 25-26 carryover that Jeff was alluding to earlier. Again, annual procedure. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that, Erin?
No.
No? Okay. So I would look for a motion.
I'll move to accept the administrative recommendation to designate certain 2025 through 2026 unused funds to restricted fund balance for the 2026-27 school year as is included in the attachment.
And I will second.
Thank
You
you.
two ladies are amazing.
A dynamic duo
That's what
tonight.
happens when we both back into our parking stalls.
Oh, there it
Granted, she
is.
started the trend, you know?
All
You
right.
never know, you might gotta leave in a hurry.
That's right. That's right. All right.
It's been Monday, guys.
Any discussion about that? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think I heard Meredith. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And then action on the second reading and adoption of policies 5460.03, Wisconsin Virtual Academy High School graduation requirements, and 7250.01, memorials for staff and students. So we might have a little more discussion here. If you remember, we talked about those last time. This is the second reading. We made a few revisions that Erin sent out based on the discussion that we had. So we can talk about those if you'd like to, or Erin, if you want to give, if you have anything to
The
say.
biggest change that was made was just included a reference in the memorials for staff and students, included a reference to the policy 7250 commemoration of school facilities. So this still would allow that, defer to that policy for renaming of facilities. So it just calls that out. So there's clarity. If one saw one policy, they would know to reference the other as well.
Yep. Any other discussion on those? All right, then I would look for a motion.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of the following policies: 5460.03, Wisconsin Virtual Academy High School graduation requirements, and 7250.01, memorials for staff and students.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, I'm assuming there's none, but any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. And then that pushes us into closed session then. And do you have
I do.
a motion on there?
Yep.
You go ahead.
Okay.
You good at the terms and conditions.
I move to go into closed session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or likely to become involved in considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories, disciplinary data,
Oh, boy.
of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, except where par B applies, which, if discussed in public, would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigation, to discuss certified staff personnel complaint.
I'll second.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
It's true. Okay, and then just before we officially go into it, some people will be joining us virtually, so I'll bring my computer. And hopefully there's no tech issues, but so Meredith will meet you on that link when we go into the other room.
So 808,
So-
is that what you have?
Not yet.
Oh,
So now we have to do roll call
oh, okay.
vote. So please signify by saying aye if you're in agreement to go into closed session. Fessler, aye. McRae?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Huey?
Aye.
Fisher?
Aye.
All right, then, and we are going to adjourn from closed session, so We are now in closed session at 8:08 p.m. Sorry, we were fast enough, Bruce. Will be the ending of the public portion. And we will not be coming back. So, tonight. We'll be back another night.